Hello and welcome. In this video we are discussing about Java server pages exceptions. So when you write code in JSP, you can make some errors while writing lines of code, and these errors can be classified into different types. But some errors occur when the code is not logically accurate or an internal error from the system. So the concept of handling exceptions to JSP is similar to Java, where exceptions are managed using try-catch blocks. So exceptions in JSP. So exceptions can be defined as an object that is thrown during a program run. And exception handling is the practice of handling errors at a runtime. Exceptions can occur at any time in a web application. Therefore, the web developer must handle exceptions to be on safe side and make the user work flawlessly on the web. The exception implicit object. An exception implicit object is implemented to handle exceptions to display error messages. The exception implicit object is an instance of the java.lang.throwable class. It is only available for JSP pages with the isError page value set as true. This means exception objects can only be used in error pages. Types of exceptions in JSP. So there are three types of exceptions in JSP. They are checked exception, runtime exception, and errors exception. So checked exception. Checked exceptions are a type of exception that is usually a user fault or a problem that cannot be foreseen by the programmer. And this type of exception is checked at compile time. So some common checked exceptions that occur in the programming domain. IO exception is an example of a checked exception where some exceptions may occur while reading and writing a file. If the file format is not supported, then IO exception will occur. File not found exception is an example of a checked exception where a file in which data needs to be written is not found on that particular path on the disk. SQL exception is an example of a checked exception where the file is associated with a SQL database, and the exception will be if there is a problem or concern with the connectivity of the SQL database. Runtime exceptions can be defined as exceptions evaded by the programmer, and they are left unnoticed at compilation time. So some common examples that occurred in programming domain. Array index out of bound exception is a runtime exception and occurs when the array size goes beyond the elements or index value set. Null pointer exception, example of runtime exception raised when a variable or object is empty or null and users or programs try to access it. Arithmetic exception is an example of a runtime exception when a mathematical operation is not allowed under normal circumstances. Common example of such a scenario is to divide the number by 0. Errors. Error exception arises because of the user or programmer, and here you might encounter error due to stack overflows. So some common examples. Error. This is a subclass of throwable that indicates serious problems the applications cannot catch. Internal error occurs when a fault occurs in the Java virtual machine or JVM, and instantiation error occurs when you try to instantiate an object ultimately failing to do that. So this was a brief discussion on Java server pages. Thank you for watching this video. Bye for now.